Absolutely capable of creating your own life in every way, and you can start today. Hi guys, let's get ready. I really want to do this Carol G makeup look I've been seeing all over TikTok. Today I kind of just want to talk about how I manifested living in LA, because I was watching a TikTok that I had freaking drafted and never posted. I had my first five-figure month as a freaking full-time content creator. You know, we just moved to LA in November. Like, I definitely remember dreaming of this moment, this time in my life, and the craziest part is I expected it. And that just like brings me right into how I manifested it, because manifesting is more than just like, you know, the law of attraction, which we always hear about. It's also the law of assumption, like assuming things are going to happen before they even happen. Just like looking back on that video reminds me of how much that I really did do that in my life. A year or so ago, we were living, you know, back home with our families. I was already doing content, but I wasn't getting paid like I'm getting paid now. And I just like knew in my heart and soul that this is something that I wanted to do. And in my mind, like, I just would never give up. Like, no matter what happened, I had already like, I kind of set my mind to it, like, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I want to do, and I'm not giving up until I figured out. Basically knew it would become a reality, so there was just no fear in my mind. And that also has a lot to do with manifesting, is like being in alignment with everything that you want and believing it's possible, knowing it's possible, and knowing it's gonna happen. In 2019, that was my first year being like a full-time freelance makeup artist. Like in 2018, I'm not gonna give like my whole backstory, but in 2018, I decided that I was going to quit my full-time job and pursue being a makeup artist full-time. I wanted to see what I was made of, and I know like not everyone has like the privilege to do that, but I'm telling you right now, who's seen that video, that everything is possible. So I just knew I needed a push personally. So 2019 was my first year being a full-time makeup artist, and it definitely went a lot differently than I had planned in my head. Basically, it was like the first time in my life that I had not had a full-time, like a 9-to-5 job since I had graduated college. But it was my first year basically out of just not working. So I had a lot of learning to do. Nothing went as planned, but I still wanted to persevere nonetheless. Then the pandemic hit, and I'm sure we all remember that. Like, that seems like so long ago at this point. Like, it's crazy to even think we went through that. The first year in business obviously was not easy. There was just so much learning to do. There was a lot of like mindset work I had to do. It wasn't like learning about business or anything. It was more so learning about myself and like the conditioning, the beliefs that I have learned from society, from family, just conditioning that we all get as we get older. The older we get, the more jaded we get about life, and the more we lose hope as we get older. Unfortunately, it's really sad, but we don't have that like childlike essence anymore about ourselves. The pandemic was just like a whole other challenge, but I had already started working on my mindset, and I just knew like everything was going to be okay. Like, everything is going to work out, everything's going to be okay. This is just like a sign to pivot and just to continue learning and to continue figuring things out. Doing this stuff that I was doing is really hard when you're in a survival mindset, where you feel like you're living in fear, but you're living paycheck to paycheck. You're always worrying, like you never feel good technically. You never feel content. You never feel happy. You're just anxious, worrying, fearful. And a lot of people are living like that, unfortunately. Like, throughout the pandemic, working on my mindset, because I knew that was like the only thing that I had control of. I just continued working on myself, working on learning about like spirituality and just success, like other people's success stories. I read a lot of success stories, a lot of books, listened to podcasts. Felt like all success stories had a lot in common. That never give up attitude and just like knowing eventually something is going to work out. And I started to really, you know, adopt those thoughts for myself. Like, okay, like it's gonna work out. Like this is gonna be fine. If I just keep working towards what I want, everything is gonna work out. And I really started believing that. And like the further I got, the more I realized like everything is always working out, because I would be able to look back and be like, how did I get through this? Like, how did I get through that? Like, I survived, you know? So it's a lot of like looking in hindsight, like, wow, like this happened. At the time we're living in like the future, and when you live in the future, you're not living in the now. Typically when we're thinking in the future, we're worrying. I was thinking in the now and also reflecting on the past, which in my opinion is reflecting on the truth of your life versus like what hasn't happened. Because when you're thinking about the future, these are things that have not even happened. They haven't even happened yet, and you're worrying about them, versus looking at the past and seeing what has happened, like what is true for your life. And that just brings me to another point where like we also tell ourselves stories in our mind, like, oh, like this will never work out, like this always happens to me, like bad things, for instance. A lot of us tell ourselves those stories about like, oh, like I never win anything, or I never, you know, like I never get opportunities or chances. And those are the stories that you start to tell yourself, and you start to believe about yourself and life. Your thoughts and how you talk are so important. And so catch yourself, like, what do you constantly think about? Like, what are you constantly saying? What are these stories that you're telling yourself that you believe? They're just stories that you tell yourself, and you're the one keeping them alive in your mind and in your life, which is the crazy part. Because the way I see it is, right now in the present, we're living the physical manifestation of what we were thinking about like a month ago, 2 months ago, a year ago. You know what I mean? Like, how many things do you have now that you wanted like a year ago? And how many things have you not gotten that you already made up your mind that you weren't gonna get a year ago? Like right now we're living a manifestation. I'm sorry, I have to turn the fan on. If you hear a noise, it's just my fan. Right now we're living in past manifestations, constantly creating our own reality with our beliefs and our thoughts. And a lot of times our thoughts are stuck in a loop, stuck in a story, something that we believe that isn't actually true, but it keeps coming true because we keep thinking, we keep believing in the story and the thoughts that we're constantly telling ourselves. And that's why like self-talk is so important. And that leads me to how I truly feel like I manifested, like where I am today, being in LA, doing what I do. 2 years ago, I was like super heavy into affirmations and gratitude. And I just having that 5-figure month, it reminded me of, and just where I'm at today in general, like with all of my platforms, like growing and having all of you guys here, like the community that I have is, I love you guys so much, and I'm so grateful. And I say it all the time, and it's because it's totally true. And the even crazier part is I was grateful before I even knew you guys, before I even had you guys. Like I brought this into my own life. So we lived in an apartment before, and we had like a apartment gym. So we would just like work out there, and we were like really heavy into like meditating after our workout. And a lot of the times I would just be taking that stillness, that time to say like my affirmations and really get in the feeling of gratitude. And it's kind of like, how do you get in the feeling of gratitude? For everyone, it's going to be different. It's just going to kind of depend on your own mind and like what works for you. But for me, I would sit there and I would just kind of like, I would envision certain like very specific moments in my life that would happen in the future. I remember visualizing the moment I realized like moving to LA was a reality. Like, this is really happening, we did it. Like, I would just, in my head, I would just be like, I would imagine receiving the news that like, oh, you got approved, you got the apartment, and then like us in the U-Haul going. And this is where like visualization really comes in handy. Like, I would really visualize that shit, like packing up our stuff. And then like, you have to take it a step further than visualizing, and I would get so into my like imagination and visualization that I would imagine how I felt in that moment, and like I could really picture it because I knew how I was going to feel. I knew I was gonna be so excited, so proud. Like, I'm even getting choked up talking about it because I just remember like so grateful. Like, I did it, I'm so happy, I'm so proud. And like, I would really hold on to that feeling and just sit there and think about it. And like, so just imagine me like in the room meditating, and I just have like this smile on my face because I'm so in the moment, in a moment that's not even real. But I would do that, and I would just be like, I would say affirmations like, I'm so happy and grateful I get to do what I love every day for great pay. I'm so happy and grateful for my growing community. I'm so happy and grateful, you know, I'm so happy and grateful for, I'm so happy and grateful for, I'm so happy and grateful for. And I would do that for all the things that I have now. Everything I have now, I was so grateful for it before I even had it. That's how you get into alignment, and that's how you create your reality. You have to get ahead of your vibration, your frequency, and you create your life by choosing the frequency and the vibration that you're going to be on. For some people it's going to be harder than others, but for me, like, I really just had this belief that like, if I do this, this is what's going to happen. So that was the story I was telling myself. If I do this, this is what's gonna happen. So I started making the stories that I needed to hear and know the reality, and I started visualizing my reality that I wanted, and like really getting into the emotion of it. Like, how would I feel in that moment? How would you feel in that moment when you got the job that you've been wanting? Or how would you feel when you found like the love of your life and you're like in the best relationship you've ever been in? They treat you exactly how you've always wanted to be treated. Like, how does that feel? And it's like, you have to really get into that feeling. So she kind of just has like a warm tone and then like a white color. I'm gonna try to do it more so according to my eye shape than like the shape she has. So I'm gonna go in with this kind of like warm color. That was a lot, I don't want that much pigment. But yeah guys, I can like very specifically remember getting into my gratitude and doing my affirmations a couple years ago for everything that I have now. And that's why like I know we are creating our own reality. So you have to ask yourself, like, what stories am I telling myself? And like, what are the stories that I don't want to live in anymore? Like, what are the things that I don't want to experience anymore? And really like negate those with affirmations or with new stories. I can't stress how important that is. You can't give in to your current thoughts if you don't like where you're at, and you have to really curate and develop new thoughts, new stories of things that you do want in your life, and you slowly turn into this new person because you are your thoughts, you are your stories. And if you start changing those, like, you're gonna change from the inside out. Inside out meaning you're gonna change on the inside, so your physical reality is also going to change. Experiencing this firsthand for myself, like, I know how real it is. This has helped me in my life many times where I'm in a negative mindset or I feel like nothing is working out for me. That's when I know it's time to like take a rest and just like come back to something. Better to take a rest than to continue like feeding into negative thoughts. Ever since I manifested this, I'm just like in awe of the power that we all have within us. Like, you guys, like, I'm not special in any way. I'm not any different from you guys. if this is possible for me, it's possible for you guys. And like I always said, like I would share like my story as like a testimony to like faith and believing in yourself. Like even if I may not seem to others like the most successful person there is, I know in my heart and mind that I'm so successful. Like I have everything that I wished for, you know, like everything I wanted I have, and everything I want now, and once I align my frequency to it, I will have in a year or two or down the line. Like the sky is really the limit for me and for you guys, like not just me but for you guys too. Makeup is fucked up. I just had lunch, but I was editing this and I realized that I left something really important out, and I wanted to tell you guys this because it specifically has to do with when I was manifesting moving to LA. So the thought of moving to LA came to me in 2019 when I quit my job. I just felt like this is where I needed to be, but lo and behold, it took me like 5 years to get out here, but I never gave up hope. And the last year specifically, after doing the affirmations and gratitude, there was just like this feeling in me that something in me knew it was going to happen. I can't really explain that feeling, but I knew something big was going to happen in my life. And yeah, so during all this time, nothing was lined up. It wasn't even looking like we were going to be able to move to LA. So this moving here really was on a whim, on luck, on faith. Like that could be another story if you guys want to know about that. But specifically the year before moving to LA, me and Russ would go for morning walks. This is first thing in the morning. We were like super pumped to be awake, motivated, inspired, living our dreams already, you know, back home, just not in LA in our own place. And we would go for walks and we would do this mantra. We would hold hands and we would do like this dance, and we'd be like, we're moving to LA, we're moving to LA. And again, this was when we had nothing, absolutely nothing lined up. Nothing in our lives pointed to us being able to move to LA at all, except for the fact that we knew we wanted to do it and we knew it was possible. So we would do that chant every morning, and we'd do it like in that happy, like silly, goofy mood, like we're moving to LA, we're moving to LA. Like as if we did know, as if we did have the means, as if it was lined up, it was already in the works, it was happening. Like that was the feeling that we had every time we did that little mantra, is what I'm gonna call it. So yeah, I wanted to include that because that really, I feel like, took the manifestation up a notch and made it happen even quicker. Seriously. I'm gonna do the Refi lip liner. I'm gonna use this Heat Wave from Kosas because she's wearing like a really natural colored lip, but with like a pop of pink in the middle. I feel like the sheen of it makes my lip combo look more natural than it is, because you guys just saw me like overline my lips. Then I'm gonna take a little of this MOIRA blush, like look at this pink color, and just put like, I don't know if you're supposed to put these on your lips, but I just did. Maybe that's why it's getting all flaky, because I'm putting so much. Okay, I think this is the final look. Oh my god. Why does everything really sucks when it's hot? This is the look. I hope you guys enjoyed this get ready with me and learn something about changing your life around. I will always be the person in your life to tell you you are so capable, you are so worthy, you are creative, you are smart, and you deserve everything that you receive, and you are totally, absolutely capable of creating your own life in every way, and you can start today. It's never too late, and I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys next time.